Well, welcome back, my friends. We're still doing the inherited home, so I want to get into the legal aspects of selling an inherited home. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that can feel a little bit complicated, but it's so important that the legal aspects of selling an inherited home is what you need to know. So if you recently inherited a property, well, you might be wondering, what role will I have to play in this? What taxes do we have to pay? And do we have to report the inheritance? And what happens if the home is part of a living estate? Don't worry. I'll break this all down for you as easy and simple as possible so that you understand the steps, that you know exactly what to do and what to expect. Kind of like what to expect when you're, having a baby. Hey, I am Annette Marble, your favorite Key Realty agent in and around Central Ohio. And yep, here's Mo. So, all right, the first part let's get into is the wills and probate. When a homeowner passes away, the will is the first place to look. A valid will usually names the heirs and explains who should inherit the home. All right, so if there is a will, it typically goes through probate court. This is a legal process of verifying the will, paying off debts, and making sure the property is transferred to the rightful heirs. We do not want it to get into the wrong hands. So what happens if there's no will? Things get a little bit more complicated in this case. State law decides who will inherit the property, often called interstate is what it's usually called. Either way, the property usually cannot be sold until probate is completed or until the court gives the green light to move forward. This step is important because it protects both the heirs and any potential buyer. All right, number 2, taxes. All right, property taxes. While you're figuring out what to do with the home, don't forget about paying the property taxes. Yes, you still have to pay those. Even though the ownership may still be in probate, the estate is usually responsible for paying the property taxes to keep the account current. We don't want any foreclosures. If taxes go unpaid, penalties, interest can pile up. And in the worst case, the county could place a lien on the home. So one of the best practices is to make sure those property bills are paid. We know about that tax guy and handled during this whole transaction or transition. All right, capital gains tax. People always ask questions about this. Another tax that is often very surprising to people in the capital gains tax when you sell a home. Here's how it works. Normally, when you sell real estate, you'll have to pay capital gains tax on the difference between what you paid for the home and what it sells for. And depending if you're single or married, that'll fall in play as well on a typical home. But with an inherited property, the IRS gives what is called a step up in basis. This means that home values reset to the fair market value on the date the loved one passed away. So if the markets shift in a year, then you go back to when they passed. For example, if the parents bought the house for $100,000 and it's worth $300,000 on the date of inheritance, your basis is now $300,000. Now, if you sell the home for $310,000, you'd only pay capital gains on the $10,000. That's not $200,000. That's $10,000. So this step can save families a lot of money in taxes. And keep track of any kind of updates or anything that you've done to the home. Keep the records of those. Reporting an inheritance and sale. A question I hear often is, do you have to report the inheritance itself? Well, the good news is, in most cases, inheriting a property is not a taxable income. You don't pay income tax just because you inherited a home. Where it gets tricky, the IRS gets involved. And this is when you sell the property, the sale must be reported on your tax return, usually a Schedule D. Always check with your accountant, showing the basis, the step-up value that we talked about, and the actual final sales price. If there are multiple heirs, the proceeds are then divided and each heir reports their share of of their portion of income on their taxes. It's a good idea to really talk with a CPA and a tax professional because every family situation can just be a little bit different. Okay, number 5, living estates. Sometimes you'll hear the term living estate or life estate. This is when a homeowner sets things up so that they retain the right to live in the home until they pass away, but the ownership automatically transfers to the heirs after that. This arrangement can actually help families avoid probate. Since the transfer is already planned out legally, you will have nothing to worry about. So this is a must-do. But if the heirs want to sell, they can't do it until the person with the life estate has passed or voluntarily gives up the right to live there. So it's important to understand the restrictions that come with a living estate before trying to list the home. Does that make sense? If not, this is what we did with my family, and it worked out great. As you can see, selling an inherited home involves more than just putting a for sale sign in the front yard. Between the will, the probate, the taxes, the reporting, special cases like living estates, there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, a lot. There's a lot of people that get involved too. But the good news is, with the right team, including your favorite real estate agent in and around Central Ohio, or an attorney and a tax professional, can navigate this process smoothly and protect your family's best interests. So there you go. So if you're in Central Ohio and you're facing these decisions, reach out to me. I'd love to guide you through the process and connect you with trusted professionals who can help you with the legal and the tax side, because this is just something you really don't want to handle yourself. It's worth the money to pay a professional. And also, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone that may need this information. And of course, hit that bell for notifications. Ding, ding, ding. And it's free, so you don't miss any of my future videos. And always, we're always in and around Central Ohio, and we're keeping it real in real estate with Annette Marble, Mo, He Left Me, and Associates. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.